How's it going, everyone? It's Aria, here today to cut to the chase and talk to you all about River City Girls 2. This game is something that I'm looking forward to with great interest. I played the first River City Girls to death and adore everything about it, and River City Girls 2 looks to be taking everything that made the first game great and expanding upon it as a sequel should. So my hype is pretty much through the roof for this game. The original River City Girls was an awesome game, from its setting and presentation to its art style to the music and the gameplay. Everything about the first game popped, and the sequel looks like it's going to carry the torch for all of that excellently moving forward. Now that we've got actual gameplay, I figured we could talk about it. In the first River City Girls, you play through as the main characters Kyoko and Misako, who are out to save their boyfriends, Ricky and Kunio, who've been kidnapped. Comedy happens, weirdness happens, people get punched in the face, we move on. First, the girls are the only playables, but once you clear the game, the boyfriends themselves get to be playable, which is just really cool. The sequel follows this up by making the girls and the boys playable, and also introducing two new playable characters in Marion and Provi. Marion is an interesting addition, as she's from the Double Dragon series, and with the exception of some generally obscure fighting games, she's never made playable, and is usually relegated to being a damsel in distress, and a shopkeeper in the first River City Girls, in fact, which itself sees her get a redesign that people took to extremely well. River City Girls 2 takes that design and rolls with it, and it'll be interesting to see how she plays overall. What we do know is that she's going to have some wrestling based moves, maybe a bit of boxing too, so that'll be interesting to see. Profi, on the other hand, like Kyoko and Misako before her, is a call-up from the Kunio-kun series, mostly known from her playable appearance in River City Ransom Underground, which itself is a pretty cool game worth checking out. Paying attention to the trailer, she'll have some breakdancing stuff going on with her moveset, bringing her own brand of mayhem into things. To get to that though, we have to talk about the gameplay, and River City Girls 2 looks like it's going to keep what worked about the first game and improve on it, which is good. In the first game, you could juggle enemies, and said juggles were very Tekken-esque, where hits would pop an enemy up into the air a bit. This, combined with the launchers allowing for jump cancels, even though the game didn't necessarily show players that they were a thing, check out my tutorials in the description to learn about those and other tips and tricks, meant that it took timing and a bit of know-how to do some of the really cool stuff. River City Girls 2 expands on things by giving characters launchers that send them airborne with the enemy they're hitting, whereafter they can go into full-blown air combos that, from the looks of things, can most certainly make juggles and combos going from the ground to the air and back possible. I dare even say that they're encouraged, since the game's got a combo counter now, which the first game lacked, which in itself is really cool. We can also see in the trailer that the various shopkeepers return as a feature, which I like, because the game gets a ton of personality from the world the girls and boys inhabit, so it's nice to see that make a comeback. Another thing we know, straight from the devs themselves, in fact, is that there will be banter between each of the playable characters that'll change depending on who's teamed up, which is really cool, since even though the first game allowed you to play as the girls and the boys, you only got the story and banter from the girls, even if you were the boys. And that was a little disappointing, so it'll be interesting to hear how they'll chat things up as we bash faces in. Speaking of pairing up though, one of the biggest things the first game faltered on for all its cool aspects and gameplay was that co-op play was local only. So that meant if you wanted to play with someone, you had to use things like share play, remote play, or parsec, and those could vary. Your experience could definitely be changed though if you could play with a partner. It'd be really nice. But it's exceptionally welcome news to know that River City Girls 2 is going to have co-op online play, and it was one of the very first things that was announced. And it'll be that much more welcome if it's good, because as fun as it was to dig into things in the first game, having a partner to kick people around with will make things that much better. River City Girls 2 is slated for a 2022 release, and I, for one, am super excited to see what WayForward and ArcSys will be throwing at us when the time comes. For now, though, I'd highly recommend that anyone interested looks into the first River City Girls. If you like beat 'em ups, there's a lot to like. Again, I've got tutorials and even combo exhibitions for it that even WayForward approved, no less. So if you want to learn about the advanced stuff the system has, check that out. For now, this is Aria signing out, so stay awesome, people.